just basic aerial stabilization station. Basically, what we're going to learn to do today is every time you take your truck out and you're going to use it for firefighting, rescue, you'll be doing these basic steps to get your stabilizers out and to get your aerial out of the bed. And we're going to cover that, and also we're going to cover rapid stabilization. So let me have one person, say Tim, come over here. We're going to start. We're just going to go down the skill sheet. We're just going to follow it step by step, nice and slow, to get everybody out here. All right, so you pulled up to the scene of the fire, and we're going to turn the truck on, and we'll then put it in neutral and pull the parking brake. He's pulled up on scene of the fire. He's got his truck in neutral, and he's pulled his parking brake. Right now he's starting to get everything ready in the cab. Once we get everything ready in the cab, we won't have to come back, okay? So he's got his parking brake out, he's got it in neutral. He's gonna go ahead and apply his front brake, which is right here on truck 8. On some of the other trucks, there's a toggle switch to push in your front brake right there. Push in, there you go. Hold it in, there you go. He's also gonna make sure that this front wheel is straight in line. Okay, we're doing that so you can make sure you get a chalk on the front and back. If it's turned real sharp, we won't be able to. All right, so he's got that done. Now he's gonna go ahead and turn on the aerial master and aerial PTO switch. All right, and the last thing before he comes out, he's gonna hit high idle, okay? High idle's that third red switch up there, I think. All right, so we've got all that. Now he's ready to come out of the cab. So let's chalk the front wheel front and back. Right there. Boom. Okay, now we've made it to the very back of the truck. If this was an older model truck, we'll have a diverter switch. Does everybody know what a diverter switch is? A diverter switch is going to be a toggle on the truck. It's going to take your power from stabilizer to aerial. Okay, most of the new trucks, Quint 15, Quint 18, even Ladder 8, they don't have that switch, but some of our other units do, so you may have to look for it. So what you do is you just raise this up, and there'd be literally a toggle switch. It says stabilizer, or it says aerial. If we want to use the stabilizers and put them in the out position, we'd have it in the stabilizer. Once you get the stabilizers done, you then have to switch it back before you climb up to the pedestal to use the aerial. This one doesn't have it, so we don't have to worry about that, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and extend the outriggers all the way into the out position. So go ahead and do that, Tim. Just push them all the way out. All right, this side. Okay, now he has the stabilizers all the way out. We're going to set our pads. Okay, you will never put the stabilizers down without using the pads. That's very important to always have the pads down. Okay, we will have an area, a type of rescue where we don't pin the stabilizers, but we will always put the pads down because we need that surface area so we don't go through their concrete. Okay, we also want to make sure that the pads have the handle on the inside and handle up. That makes it not become a trip hazard if we're trying to get into places. Okay, all right, so we've got all 4 of our pads down. Our stabilizers are fully extended. Now we want to bring them down to the ground and make contact. One of the things you want to remember is, even though they look like they're the same height, the back stabilizer is going to make contact with the ground first. So you want to watch that front stabilizer and get them both even before you start applying pressure to actually raise the aerial off the ground, okay? So go ahead and start going down with them, Tim. All right, stop with the back one. There you go. Now let's do the other side. All right, so now he's got all 4 stabilizers. He's got them flush to the ground, okay? That's real important. With some of the ladder trucks now, if you're not doing a rapid stabilization, you can raise them up on both sides at the same time so the truck comes up nice and smooth, or you can just do one side or the other. And right now we're just gonna do one side as we're learning, okay? So Tim's gonna raise up this right side. What we're looking for, to tell you how high we wanna go, we want both the back tires off the ground between 1 inch and 2 inches, okay? We're looking to get that rubber off where we can see 1 inch below the tires. And the reason we're doing that is we wanna make sure that all that weight is on the stabilizers. That way when we go up there with that aerial and we move it over one side or the other, 105 feet, that weight shift doesn't move the stabilizers off the ground. Some of the places you'll read and some of the stuff you'll see in the classroom are going to talk about just taking the bulge out of the tire. We here at AFD have decided we're going to go with the tires off the ground. If you just take the bulge out, that's great, but at 3 in the morning, you may not be able to see that bulge real well, and then when you move the aerial over that side, it may take that bulge, you won't have enough off, and it'll rotate off, and you'll lose stabilizer contact with the ground, and it'll take away your aerial ability. So if we get the tires off the ground, we don't have to worry about ever losing that stabilizer contact with the ground. So go ahead and raise this side up, Timmy. That's probably good. All right, let's even it out on this side. That's good. All right, so if you look back here, if you look underneath the apparatus, he's got both tires off a couple inches off the ground, okay? That's great there. Now the one thing you want to double check is you want to make sure that your side to side and your front to back are done by this gauge right here. So we always want this to be in the green and as close to 0 as possible, okay? This is a lot of captain's pet peeves. This right here is the most dangerous one, the side to side, okay? If you read the chart, it says 0 to 3.5. It's a very small number, right? And that's because we don't have a whole lot of weight. We're gonna have a lot of weight going over the side of that truck, so it's 0 to 3.5. If you look right here, or look over here, this is the front to back right here. It has a wider gauge, it's 0 to 5.5. So you can see the gauge right here is 0 to 5.5. In Austin, we've got a lot of flat areas. Unless you're working out in 31s or far west Austin, you're probably not gonna have to worry a whole lot about the front to back. We're always going to worry about the side to side though, because that's why we have the outriggers out there. So we're going to come back here and look. Tim did a great job. He's almost right at 0. If he wanted to, he could fine tune that a little bit and get that right on the 0, and then we're going to pin our outriggers. So now we've got it. We'll call it, let's go ahead and touch it up, Tim. Yeah, just touch up a little bit. Let's get that right to 0. So you just want to drop that side just a little bit. A little bit more. There you go. All right, so he's right on the 0. His tires are still looking great. So now we're ready to pin the stabilizers, okay? So let's go look at one of the pins real quick. So this is our pin right here. What's the weakest part of this pin? Yeah, right here where that weld is, okay? So if we take that pin, we shove it all the way in there, if there was a failure, it would hit that area and it might shear that off. So once you put your pins in, you have enough, go ahead and pull it out. Give it about 1 inch on each side, just like that. We always put the pin from the outside to the inside. We're gonna do them just like that. So y'all pin the other 3 stabilizers. So right now, if you look at his truck, we're inside our number right here, which is super important. We've got the tires off the ground. We've got our stabilizers fully extended all the way down, and they're pinned, okay? This is exactly how you want your truck. You set a great base, there's nothing gonna offset this truck. The difference is you're going to have different times. You might be flowing 2,000 GPM. You might be putting people on the tip. The way we have it set up right now, none of that is going to affect the ladder as far as how it rotates and moves unless you overload the tip, okay? And that's what we'll talk about later on in class. But this right here is a perfect base setup for any type of aerial operation. You do this every time, you're going to be good to go, all right? That's done. Tim's done. He'd be ready to go up on the pedestal. We're ready to do aerial operations, all right? Now, fire's out. We want to take it back down. Take a deep breath, we calm down, take our gear off, make sure we think twice, make sure you pull the pins out. So we're just gonna reverse all of our operations, okay? We're gonna pull the pins out, we're gonna put the aerials back, the stabilizers up, we'll stow them, we'll go back up to the front of the cab, we'll turn everything off, and we'll be ready to leave the scene. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, one thing I didn't talk about is, you saw how, and we'll learn about this with rapid stabilization, this truck's pretty wide. Truck 15, some of the newer trucks, they're a lot easier to do. You can see when you raise just that first side down, it kind of tweaks the chassis of the truck pretty hard. It's obviously built to do that, but it's probably a lot easier on your ladder truck if you're not doing that every single day. So one way I avoid doing that, and it's a little harder on truck 8, but if you can grab both sides of the stabilizer, or Tim, if you'll do that side, we'll lower them down at the same time. That way the truck lowers down level. And that way there's not a huge torque on it. So if you've got a buddy at the station or at the fire to help you bring it down, why not? It just makes it go a lot easier. Okay, turn your high idle off. All right, turn your aerial master and your aerial PTO off. Flip it up again. There you go. Aerial master off. Yeah, both those. There you go. And then you're ready just to shut it down or take off back to the station. So we can shut it down. Yeah. All right, so that's your basic stabilization. Now it's gonna be a little bit different on every truck, depending on how it handles. Like I said, some trucks will have the diverter. I don't know of any that do right now, except some of the reserve fleets. I think like if you go over to see 94, if you want to take a look before you leave today, I think it has a diverter switch, and all it says is stabilizer or aerial, okay? If you do ever drive one of those, one of the nice things about it is, if you'll leave it in the stabilizer mode, when you're in the cab and you flip all your switches, you'll hear that, it'll let you know you're ready to go back there and do your work, okay? The downside is if you get up on the aerial platform and it won't move, it's because you probably forgot to hit that switch. So a lot of times like, hey, Coronado, hit that switch, and everybody knows, so, all right? Any questions on that basic stabilization? All right, let's switch it up. Let's take, I'm gonna take 3 people with me over here to truck 15. Anybody add 8s or have a bucket? 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 Okay, y'all stay over here. We're not gonna do anything with the bucket, but it'll just give you practice with the leveling system and all that. So you 2 stay over there, the 3 of y'all come with me. That should be, if you're driving the truck, that should be what you do every day. Well, plus climbing up there and making sure it works. So up, rotate it, up and down, retract it, play with the nozzle, make sure it's done, okay? Rudy, you ready? Okay, so watching Chelsea do that, it was just like the skill sheet. But that being said, if you have an emergency victim sticking their head out the window, it's gonna seem like it's a lot of us running around and kind of not being exact movements, okay? So we're gonna try this, we're gonna reduce those movements, we call rapid stabilization. So this is gonna be one of those scenes where we're all on truck 15, we all go inside to do some victim rescue and Rudy's left out by himself, and there's somebody on the 4th floor, they need to be picked off real quick. All right, so how does Rudy minimize his movements and use of the truck to where he can get up to that pedestal as fast as possible, okay? So we're gonna do that this time. So let's start up front. And the front, there you go. All right, so we're gonna do the vehicle, the rapid stabilization right now. He's gonna come in the cab. The things in the cab stay exactly the same, just like we did before. So master front brake, wheel lock on. This tire is in line with the chassis. High aerial master, aerial PTO. High idle. He was already in neutral with the brake on. We come out of the cab, ready to go to the back. You're gonna chalk the front wheel. Okay, we come to our first set of outriggers. Put them all the way out. Right here. Yeah, put them all the way out. All right, other side all the way out. Now put your pads down here with the handles going towards the truck. That way they're not a trip hazard. All right, now Tim, you're gonna come back here and you're gonna put those down flush, and then we're gonna raise it up to where that goes to the 5. So he's gonna make contact with both the front and the back, and once they're even, it's good. All right, now put your pads out over there. All right, super fast. All right, take it to 0. He had a helper. There's a pad smurf running around here. All right. Now he's gonna put those back level, take it back to 0. Perfect. There you go. So he's back to 0. He's back to 0 in the middle. He's got 4 green lights, and he goes right up to the turntable and starts making sure. You have to double check and make sure you have the 4 green lights. Then he's up to the turntable and he's picking people off. You notice the one thing we didn't do at the very end, we didn't pin the stabilizers. When we're doing a high situation rescue, we've got somebody to pull right now. We don't have to pin the stabilizers. We're gonna get up there, we're gonna get them down. Once they're down and we're going to a defensive fire or doing anything else, we will pin the stabilizers once we have time. But for the initial rescue, we're able to not to pin those stabilizers, we just go up, okay? So you jump up, and that's why you finish this side, you move to this side, you get to 0, and you're stepping up right here, reducing that left to right, back and forth movement. We're not a yo-yo anymore. Probably looks kind of funny, that victim up there, while we keep running back and forth to do 6 different things on each side, okay? So that would do it. That's the rapid stabilization. All right, let's go ahead and bring it back down. You want to bring that side down? Every day, it's really not, it's meant to be bent like that and have one side raised up, but it doesn't look good. It's probably harder on the chassis. So normally when I do truck check, if I'm out there by myself, I'll do what Chelsea did. I'll raise both sides up at the same time, or get somebody to do that. Hey, Chelsea, can you do that side? I'll do this side. Let's go up at the same time. That way we're taking the heat off. Remember, you want to get those outriggers to be on the ground flush and then start raising up. All right, so Tim, now you just go take it back out of aerial, master aerial, PTO, and high idle.